Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot. I'm so glad to be back after my short posting hiatus. For those of you who didn't see my community post, unfortunately, I had a event in my family recently that led me to take some time off for grieving. My mother is an avid supporter of this channel, and my last video, she picked pile number 1, which unfortunately predicted a death, and that turned out to be true for my family. This last Easter Sunday, my grandfather passed away. So thank you to those of you who were patient in the interim while I took some time to grieve. My family's doing great. Thank you for your words of kindness and support and liking that post and whatnot. And like I said, am super excited to be back to use the power of tarot to bring healing and peace to others, as it has for me, exemplified by what happened with the prediction of my grandfather's death with my last video for my mother. So, Mom, if you're watching this, hi, love you. All right, without further ado, let's get to the topic. So today's topic is, as you can see by the title, a word from your spirit guides. We're just going to go into a nice general, what your spirit guides want you to know most, what's most important for you to hear right now type of message, kind of a grab bag, anything can pop out. So let's pick our piles. So pile number 1's over here, we have Reframe. Pile number 2's we have Forgive. And my pile number 3's we have Illuminate. So feel free to meditate on these piles, see which card calls the most to you. My best advice is always just to go with your gut instinct, which is the one that calls to you most first. Then, when you're ready, you've chosen your pile, drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment underneath the video in the comment section. Click on the timestamp for your reading, and I will see you in our discussion about what your spirit guides want to speak to you. What's the word that they want to share with you? Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 1's. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of a word from your spirit guides. As you recall, the card used to pick your pile was the card of Reframe. We have, it looks almost like an ocean current swirling around. A smaller image here of a house underneath a new moon. So maybe part of your reading is about adjusting the way we look at things, adjusting the way we define or put boundaries around certain things, kind of like what it says on the tin, Reframing. But before I get too far in the weeds with that, I will put your pile leader over here to the left, and we'll get some more context. As always, I tend to like to put my readings in different sections. So section number 1 today, we'll be talking more about the context. What's the area of your life that your spirit guides want to speak to you about, pile 1's? And then we'll have a section of advice afterwards, just to kind of give you something to move forward into the future with based on the situation at hand. So we'll split your cards now for that. So these 2 are for that. And then these will be your advice at the end. I'll hold those down here with me. And today we are breaking out Lenormand again. I've been loving using Lenormand lately. And of course we have Tarot of the Golden Wheel for today. So let's do that. I will pull out your Lenormand cards first. So Spirit, for my lovely pile number 1's from their spirit guides, could you give me 3 Lenormand cards describing some of the context around what you want to speak to them about? 3 cards, please. Alright, I'm going to do, actually, call one more shuffle there. I know, sometimes I feel called to do 1 shuffle, sometimes I feel called to do 5. 2, and let's see here, 3. Alright, and then same thing with this, my lovely spirit guides of pile number 1's. Could you give me 5 tarot cards explaining the context of what's going on here, please? Okay, for sure. We have that one right there. A lot of gold coloring today in the backs of the tarot cards, or well, Lenormand too. 3, 4, and I feel this one right here, 5. Okay. Okay, my lovely pile number 1's. Let's get the picture. Let's frame, excuse the pun, your reading for today. So first up, your oracle cards. We have the Lantern Oracle you received. Number 43, Inner Life. Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. Perfect card for this time of year, at least in the hemisphere where I live. For those of you who also live in the Northern Hemisphere, a lot of gardening going on right now. Or at least prep for gardening, I should say. As they say, April showers bring me flowers, right? Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. Something about the dichotomy between what you're harvesting or nurturing on the outside versus the inside. Okay, we will talk about that in a second with more of the context from the other cards. So put Lantern Oracle over here. Your Folklore Oracle today is the boar. Okay, and the boar in this particular deck means benevolence. So in other words, generosity for generosity's sake, not even keeping a score of who owes who what. Okay, this is interesting so far. Getting some intuitive feelings here, but I won't say anything quite yet. And then we will look at your Lenormand. So Lenormand, if you're not familiar, I always say really quickly, just because it's not as popular as tarot. It's like reading each card as a word in a sentence, and then you string them together kind of like a sentence to predict or have a word from spirit on something. So you received, first up, the fortress, or the hill, I think some Lenormand decks calls it. The rider, or the bardess in this particular deck, and then you have the dog. So this particular Lenormand reading is something about, well, the dog means loyalty, okay, and the fortress is about something we protect, and then the bard or the rider is usually about a message or delivery of something. I always kind of think of, for those of you familiar with American history, I always think of the bard as like the Paul Revere card, like something's coming, here's a message coming, right? So to read this in one sentence for you pile number ones, I would say protecting the delivery of loyalty in one sentence. Protecting the delivery of loyalty, or guarding the delivery of loyalty. That's interesting. I will wait to say something on that until we get your tarot cards out, but protecting the delivery of loyalty. Fascinating. Okay. And then, last but not least, your tarot cards. So the first tarot card today is the Hermit reversed, coming out of our shell, coming out of a time of solitude with the wisdom we gained. Okay. Also a perfect time for spring, or a card for spring, I should say. Number 2, the Four of Pentacles or wheels, withholding things, holding things back. Yeah, okay, this is the picture I'm getting. That's kind of along the lines intuitively what was popping out earlier. Talk about that in a second. The Ace of Wands, a spark of something new in terms of creativity or willpower, yep. The devil is what binds or chains us. Sometimes it can mean addictions, sometimes it can mean things that are holding us back. All right, things that prevent us from operating at our highest efficiency, at our highest good for ourselves and others. Okay. And last but not least, we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, or wheels reversed in this particular deck. Usually it can depend on the context, but with this particular reading pile ones, I would say this is about someone either going about something too brashly or too quickly and not being careful enough, or it's like something to do with the speed of something not being quick enough, or someone going too slow. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a second. All right, let me look at your cards, get my ducks in a row. Off the bat, the intuitive thing that's really popping out to me, pile number ones, is there's something here about, it's not so much an outer focused message that your spirit guides want to convey to you. It's something to do with your mental or emotional state, or the way you think about something internally, okay? So this isn't so much like an earth plane everyday life focused reading for you. This is more something about you internally. Okay, that's kind of what I was getting intuitively right off the bat. Number one, not only did you get inner life here, where it talks about, it's kind of what it says on the tin, inner life, who are we inside? Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated, okay? That evokes a sense of something internal being talked about, right? But you also got a lot of cards that are about like mental state. Like your boar is about benevolence, giving for generosity's sake, right? Coming out of our shell more there with the Hermit reversed. Reframing is a great, another indicator of it being something about your mental state or the way you view things, okay? So I just wanted to preface with that. And in terms of the actual nitty-gritty context pile number ones, what is it that Spirit is asking you to reframe? What is it that Spirit is asking you to look at internally? What I'm getting from this is there's something, what's the best way to word it? It's something to do with the way you interact with other people or a certain particular person. And the indicator as to who these people or this person are or is areas of your life where your interactions deal with or touch upon themes of giving versus receiving, especially with the boar meaning benevolence, right? Okay. And on top of that, too, the Four of Pentacles being the card of someone withholding things, okay? It's areas of your life where there's other people or one other person where how much somebody gives or holds back is the matter at hand. And the context of the reading is reframing the way you think about this person or these people internally, okay? All right. I think for most of you, this is probably a friend, because the dog in Lenormand usually means loyalty, you know, man's best friend, right? An actual friend, or it could just be someone in general that's like close to you, but I think for most of you, this is like a platonic friendship. It could also be, it could technically be, you know, maybe a potential relationship that started as a friendship. It could be, you know, maybe a family member that really is more like a friend than a family member to you. But it's that kind of vibe of whoever this person or these people are. Like I said, it could even be a friend group if it's more than one person, okay? And what Spirit or your spirit guides are saying here is they're asking you to really reevaluate, reframe, like your pile leader says, the way you look at this person or these people. Okay? I think the issue at hand is, how to best put it? I'm not saying that they're weighing too heavily upon you, pile number ones. I mean, you know that better than anyone who is using up more of your time or your energy, but there's some sort of, it feels like there's an imbalance here. And I say that because of the devil. The devil is the thing that chains us, holds us back, things that tie us down, okay? Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm making sure I'm wording this correctly. It almost feels like something happened recently that gave you the opportunity to recontextualize your relationship with this person or these people. I think that's kind of where the Ace of Wands is coming in, because it's like, oh, there's a spark of something new, okay? And maybe even with something that made you a little bit angry. You did get a lot of kind of fiery energy here, especially with the, you know, Ace of Wands next to the devil, right? Made you a little bit angry. Something that kind of was like, oh, well, that really reframes my view of this person or these people, right? That maybe an entire friend group could be potentially. And it's that they're not giving enough to you, okay? Or they're holding something against you that they really shouldn't be holding against you. Because like the boar over here says, you know, like I said, that's the card of benevolence. That's the card of generosity and not keeping a score, okay? You know, well, how much did this person give me versus how much did I give them? I think what I'm feeling from you, pile number ones, is that you're the type of person where you don't keep score. You just think, well, if we're friends, you know, it doesn't matter who gave more to the other, right? What matters is that we're there for each other when we need each other, because that's the basis of friendship, right? That's what it's all about. But it's like there's other people involved or one person involved that isn't there for you enough. They're the Four of Pentacles. They're the ones being a little stingy with things. That or they're asking for more from you, but they're not giving more enough of themselves, okay? And it's like something that came to light recently because, like I said, not only the Ace of Wands is like a spark of something, but then the Hermit reversed is about something coming out of its shell, something coming out of solitude, out of hiding almost. Okay. And there might have been an event related that caused the spark here, related to the Knight of Pentacles reversed over here. Like I said, when I pulled it out, that's the card of someone going like too fast with something or not being careful enough, because, you know, the way I always describe the Knight of Pentacles, at least upright, is slow and steady wins the race, okay? You know, it's going slowly and carefully about something. Reversed, it's like someone is not careful enough, okay, or is asking for them to be more careful. I think this other person or these people have been a little bit too brash with things. Okay, they've been a little bit too brash, a little bit too quick to either judge, or they've been a little bit too quick to withhold things from you. I mean, you can even see, like, the imagery here of him holding the pentacle, like, it's almost like, I'll hold it up, you know, to the camera upright. It's like he's kind of holding the pentacle away from the viewer. Like, oh, this is mine. Okay? Like, I'm going to hold this away from you over my head, and I'm going to just run off with it. That's kind of the feeling I get with that particular imagery for the Knight of Pentacles in this deck, right? Yeah. So the reframing in mind, and maybe you've already been kind of questioning yourself about this pile number ones, deals with what the Lenormand reading said, protecting the delivery of loyalty. You're probably at the point right now, pile ones, where you're wondering, do I protect myself more? Do I forgive what this was? You know, how much loyalty should I deliver to this other person or this group of people versus how much should I protect myself there with the Fortress? That's the vibe I'm getting from these cards, okay? So let's see if there's any other messages about the context here before I move on to the advice. Yeah, and I almost wonder if maybe it's like you've been having an internal battle here, or you will, pile number ones, of recontextualizing not only how you view this person and these people, but also like how you view friendship in general or close relationships in general in your life. Because especially with inner life, over here it says your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. I think the intuitive thing I'm getting right now is it's almost like your spirit guides are asking for more of letting your inner self out. I don't know if maybe you tend to withhold your internal opinions, withhold asking for things of others, withhold what you think deep inside. Maybe, and that's maybe why this Hermit reverse is coming out, because it's asking for, okay, let's bring out more of this. Maybe you even tried to bring out more of what you thought about something deep inside, and that's kind of what triggered this entire thing of, you know, you said to them, hey, like, I don't feel like I'm getting a fair shake in this deal of this friendship, right? And then the stinginess came out, and, well, the keeping score came out, and then you're like, okay, well, here's a new way to view this person or these people. I didn't think they'd be like that. Maybe they're holding me back. Maybe they're not being fair here with the devil reversed. You know, maybe they're not as careful about our friendship as I thought they were. Okay, that's the vibe I'm getting for you, pile number ones, okay? All right, anything else? Yeah, it's like a whole new, it's like a new view on not just this person or these people, but maybe in the way you view friendship in general. And that's where that reframe comes in, pile ones. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the advice section of your reading, pile ones. I want to make sure you get advice on how to kind of navigate through this, now that you know the context of what your spirit guides want to speak to you about. So let me get my tarot deck back here. I will shuffle that in 1 second. Same thing with Lenormand here. And we'll clear the board of your other oracle cards. Yeah. I don't know if it's the other person likes to get their way all the time, or this group of people likes to get their way all the time. It's kind of the imagery I think of when I think of a boar, too. Like, a boar just kind of crashes through things. I mean, not a very graceful, careful animal. It's kind of like that Knight of Pentacles we talked about. Like, I'm just going to break through, and I'm going to take what I want, and I'm going to... You know, maybe it's not even like taking in terms of physical things or generosity in terms of physical things. Maybe the other person or this group of people's opinions kind of override the group a lot, or override your will a lot. They've got kind of a boorish, you know, B-O-A-R attitude about it. All right, we shuffled those, and then we'll shuffle your Lenormand here. Okay, we'll get some advice from your spirit guides, how to navigate this situation, because you're probably at the point right now, pile wands, where you're like, do I, you know, how do I think about this person or this group of people? Like, what what's going on. Like, should I feel offended? Should I feel upset? Should I feel, things like that. So, all right, Spirit, for my lovely pile number ones, could you give me 3 Lenormand cards explaining the advice from their spirit guides on how to navigate this situation? What's the advice? All right, 1, 2, and 3 for that. And same thing with the tarot deck. Can you give me 5 cards of advice from my pile number 1, how to navigate the situation with this friend or group of people? Okay, well, we have those 2. Yeah, okay, yep. So, spoiler alert, we have the 5 of Pentacles and the Chariot reversed. We'll just set those down here this way. And then, let's see what popped out here. 3, 4, 5. And I keep hearing in my head, pile number 1s, there's a common saying I hear nowadays, it's you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Okay, that's a message for you, I think. All right, so let's look at your advice. Healing Spirits Oracle for today is your spirit guide can lead you but can't do it for you. Okay, maybe you've been asking your spirit guide for advice in this area, but this might be a life lesson on your part about taking action and making a decision in the situation yourself. Excuse me. Clear my throat. Then your angel guide oracle today is romance and connection. So once again, we have that theme of our connections with other people. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but in general, close relationships, right? Can be romantic technically, but all right. Set that down here. And let's look at your Lenormand. What's the advice here? We received the garden. So we have actually, the garden came up. Remember your inner life card? Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. What about gardens? Okay. The woman and the ring. Okay, so reading this in a sentence. Something about... So the garden is oftentimes like a community card in Lenormand. It's like a group of people. So a woman in a community making a promise. Okay, that's what the ring is like a bond or a promise, right? Or feminine energy, not necessarily a woman, but... So, feminine energy in the community making a promise. Interesting. All right, and then let's look at your tarot cards before I explain that more fully. So, first up, we have the World, the end of a cycle. Okay, it's the end of the major arcana in tarot. The grand finale, you could say. The end of a cycle. You have the seasons here. Number 2, the King of Cups reversed. Can indicate, emotional instability sometimes in people. Sometimes it can indicate someone who is not very good at handling emotions. Could be this other person or this group of people, right? Just a lack of mastery over how we externally express our emotions, I guess, is how I would describe the King of Cups reversed. Okay. Then we have the 3 of Wheels, teamwork. Okay, yep. I get group vibes off of this. Could even be a group at work. Sometimes I kind of see that with the 3 of Pentacles a lot. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? And then we have the cards we saw a little bit earlier with the spoiler alert. We have the Chariot reversed. The Chariot reversed is feeling like something's just out of control. Okay, and then we have the 5 of Pentacles. Poverty, lack of something. Something is failing you or not giving you what you need. Okay, so in terms of your advice pile number 1s, all right, how to deal with this situation, how to reframe. Number 1, this is technically a spirit guide reading. This is what they want to say to you. However, you did get this card here from the Healing Spirits Oracle, and it says, I'm just going to shimmy this down, your spirit guide can lead you but can't do it for you. I don't know if you have been asking your spirit guides, if you're in touch with them, for, give me a clear, conclusive answer on where to go with this. Like, how do I navigate this? And of course, your spirit guides always want what's best for you. They always want to help you. But sometimes I've noticed in terms of spiritual growth and life lessons, your spirit guides might not give you the clearest, direct answer because they're there not to tell you how or what to do with everything. They're there to kind of help you, give you support when you need it. Kind of like like a friend, right? They're there to nurture you through the imagery I always get with spirit guides is pretend you're on a boat, right? And your spirit guides are there and they're your crew, okay? They're the crew in the boat, metaphorically meaning your life, right? You're the captain, though. You're the one that decides where the wheel goes, okay? The spirit guides are just there to help you maintain the ship, so to speak, in terms of, well, like your soul, right? Your what lessons you're supposed to learn, okay? So what that card means, to get back to brass tacks here, is they want you to decide what to do with this pile number ones, okay? They want you to feel like you have the free will and the power to do this, okay? And because you do. They want you to trust your own gut instinct, okay? They want you to learn how to navigate this. They're there to support you, but they can't tell you where to go. Okay, so that's message number one of advice here. They do have other advice, though, a little bit with the other cards, though, of course. So, in terms of your Lenormand reading, like I said, feminine energy of the community with a promise. If there is someone or a group of people that are currently you're having this issue with, okay, one key indicator on how to go forward, or one piece of advice going forward, is hold them to their promises, okay? That's what the ring means. Their promises. Because a lot of times, the value of a relationship, platonic or not, romantic or not, is based on how well do the people within that connection keep their promises, okay? Because if someone is of value to us, we make sure that we make the time and give the resources and keep our promises to them because they are of value to us. That's a really good indicator for whether or not a relationship, friendship, etc., a group of people are working out for us, okay? So keep an eye on where promises are kept or broken. That's number 2 piece of advice, okay? Especially relating to the group in general here with that community or the garden card, okay? And I get the sense that this is a feminine energy for most of you pile number ones because you did get the woman card. Doesn't always necessarily mean a woman, but just feminine energy, someone who expresses a lot of it, right? Okay. Could be a relationship for some of you, did get romance and connection, but in general, it's a strong connection you have with somebody. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you've had a hard time really recontextualizing or thinking about how do I think about this new development, because you are so close to this person, okay? Or you thought it was going so well, right? But yes, in terms of your tarot cards and advice, though, let's go on to section number 3 of advice, right? Like I said, the world is about the end of a phase. The King of Cups reversed is about not being able to control our emotions very well or the way we express them right. 3 of Wheels or Pentacles is teamwork. The Chariot reverse is something out of control. 5 of Pentacles is poverty. Okay. So what Spirit is saying to you, to summarize that in, something applicable to the situation, right, is you are encouraged wherever there's a relationship in your life or a group of people in your life that are not careful about the way they express themselves and their emotions, wherever they bring or create chaos with the Chariot reversed, wherever they bring a poverty to you in terms of, emotional support, a poverty of actual support in general, wherever there's an unequal distribution of effort and time and resources and promises broken, pile number ones, you're encouraged to end that cycle with the world, okay? Nurture relationships that bring more order than chaos, okay? Nurture relationships that don't make you feel like you're left out in the cold, starving for emotional support or just support in general, okay? Look for relationships with people that do express themselves carefully and care about your emotions, okay? And especially with the 3 of Pentacles in the middle, look for relationships where teamwork is key, where it's a team effort. It's not just one person doing everything or deciding everything. It's not just one person holding all the burden, okay? And that's applicable to, like I said, it could be platonic, it could be romantic. Wherever you find chaos and poverty and a lack of teamwork and emotional disturbance or sadness or people not being careful with your emotions, bring that cycle to an end there with the world. That's your advice for today from your spirit guides, okay? So just to really quick summarize the reading pile number ones, there's some area of your life where there's a relationship or a group of people that you're kind of thinking about, well, how do I really recontextualize or understand where this is going or what this really is at its true deepest core identity? Based on some new information I got or you got, that tells me this is not as equal as I thought it was. I think someone's holding back a little bit. I don't think someone's giving me what I need. And, maybe their opinions are kind of overriding the group, things like that. That's the context, okay? The advice is your spirit guides are there to support you, but you have to make the decision. So if you have been reaching out to them and they haven't been answering, that's kind of their explanation as to why. Number 2, look for where promises are kept or broken, especially in relation to a group. I'm pretty sure it's a feminine energy here as an indicator as to who this is, pile number ones. And wherever in your life there are relationships that bring chaos, bring poverty, there's a lack of teamwork and emotions are not cared for, hearts are not cared for, end that cycle, okay? Of course, that's always up to you. It's free will. Your spirit guides want you to choose. But they want to choose things that serve you best, okay? Things that make you the happiest, healthiest person you can be. All right, so keep an eye out for where promises are kept or broken, all right? So pile number ones, as always, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hey there, my lovely pile number twos. Welcome to your pick a card reading on the topic of a word from your spirit guides. As you recall, the card used to pick your pile was forgive. We have a house suspended on stone or earth, hanging from the heavens. Forgiving. Okay, so as always, I'll set your pile leader over here to the left, next to the pine cone. This reading will be in 2 different sections. Like most of my readings, one will be the context of what your spirit guides want to talk to you about, and the section number 2 will be about advice on how to go forward with this particular situation. So I'm just going to split the cards now. These are your advice. I'll have these down here with me for later. And then we are using both Lenormand and Tarot today. So I'm going to pull some Lenormand first. Spirit for my lovely pile number 2s. Could you give me 3 Lenormand cards explaining the context of what their spirit guides want to speak to them about, please? 3 cards. All right. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we'll pull your tarot cards for the first section. Spirit for my lovely pile number 2s for the context. What's going on that their spirit guide wants to talk to them about? Can you give me 5 tarot cards, please? All right, let's see what's sticking out to us. 1, 3, 4, and I don't know, what do you think pile 2 is? How about this one right here? 5. All right, Tarot of the Golden Wheel we're using today. I love this deck. I love all my decks, of course, but this one in particular is very beautiful. Okay, so Oracle cards, let's look at those first. What's going on? What do your spirit guides want to chat about? We have, from the Lantern Oracle, number 21, Key to Intimacy, and I'll read this because the text might be a little small on camera. Intimate love is a core need to be met in relation to ourselves and those closest to us. The journey to intimacy often includes learning what love is not. Okay. So I'll let you mull over that just a little bit as we look at your Folklore Oracle. The key to intimacy. We'll talk about that in a minute. Your oracle Folklore Oracle today is the Oniroi. The Oniroi were, I believe, from Greek mythology. They are the gods or messengers of dreams. And in this particular deck from the Folklore Oracle, the Oniroi mean examining your dreams, okay? Insight, getting messages from the beyond while you're asleep. Okay, so maybe a little bit of a hint to look at your dreams here. Maybe dreams you've been having lately that have been kind of confusing you. You're kind of maybe wondering what they mean. Interesting. Okay, and then we'll flip over your Lenormand. If you're not familiar with Lenormand, I always tell my viewers, kind of like reading a word in a sentence and stringing it together to create a whole cohesive message. So you received the Sun, the Rider, and the Holly Tree today. So let's see, the sun is making things clear or happiness. The rider is a delivery or a message of some sort. And the tree is usually about health or family. So reading this together in a sentence for you, pile twos. Let's see. Joy delivered to your family. Clarity delivered to your family. Or clarity delivered to health. So I think for most of you, this is like family. And I don't necessarily get the sense of it maybe doesn't necessarily need to be like your blood family. Like just kind of your whole, I mean, as we say, tribe. Close people to you. Okay. Joy delivered to your family. Clarity delivered to your family. Let's see what else pops out before I say that conclusively. Sometimes the cards give each other context, you know. So, your tarot for today is the Fool reversed. Being wary of risks when we set out on new ventures. He's reaching for the sun, but he doesn't see the cliff. Okay. Gotta be careful. Number 2, 5 of Cups, grief, sorrow. Being upset about something. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. 3, the 9 of Pentacles or wheels, satisfaction after reaping the harvest of what we've grown. I've raised this rooster, I've raised this tree, and now it's bearing fruit. Okay. Reaping what you sow. It's a good way to explain the 9 of Pentacles. The 4 of Wands reversed. Okay. Sometimes this can mean marriage. Sometimes this can mean a celebration. Sometimes it can mean the home. Reversed usually means there's some issue with either the home or with a relationship or a marriage, or with there's some celebration that went wrong, or something that was supposed to happen that was celebratory feels like it didn't. See what else pops out. And last but not least, we have the 2 of Wands. Okay, 2 of Wands. Making plans for the future. Okay. And interestingly, what's popping out to me with this particular version of the card is these rams are butting heads, and they're focusing on the here and now, but they're not thinking about this storm rolling in. So yeah, it's like planning for the future by not focusing so much on the conflict of the present. Is this particular version of the card is what I intuitively get from it. Okay, so what's going on, pile number 2s? I get the sense that what spirit guides want to speak to you about today is there's some sort of recent sorrow in your life. There's some sort of recent event where you have been upset, or you were upset because of that 5 of Cups. I think you took a risk, you took a chance there with the Fool reversed, and it didn't necessarily work out. Okay, so now you're asking yourself, you know, where is my happiness? Where are the fruits of my labor? Where is the celebration? I've lost these things, or I feel like I've lost these things, right? And where do I go from here with the 2 of Wands? Okay, that's the feeling I get from this particular tarot spread. There is an element of forgiveness, not only because literally the pile leader you chose was forgive, right? But there's also an element of forgiveness here, or at least explaining how to look at things that didn't work out, especially in terms of relationships here with the Lantern Oracle. Like it says, I'll reread this. Intimate love is a core need to be met in relation to ourselves and those closest to us. The journey to intimacy often includes learning what love is not. Okay, and this doesn't necessarily mean romantic love. It can mean platonic love, right? Familial love. You know, we can have intimacy in many different forms with other people. Being close to your family. Being vulnerable with those around us, being vulnerable and close to friends. It could literally mean, you know, romantic intimacy as well, of course, but including learning what love is not. Okay. I think it's either a relationship didn't work out for you, pile number 2s, or there's some sorrow related to your relationship with someone else where there was a loss, or something that just has made you upset with that 5 of Cups. There was a risk taken. There was risks involved with that Fool reversed, okay? And it just did not work out. You didn't get to reap the fruits of your labor with that 9 of Pentacles. Maybe even there was a celebration that was supposed to happen that didn't because of this, okay, with that Four of Wands reversed, right? And you're kind of like, well, where the heck do I go from here? How do I plan for the future? How do I go forward with this person or this situation, right, with the Two of Wands? Or maybe there's just kind of been a lot of planning on your part recently because of this issue, right? Now, there's a fascinating aspect to this reading with not only the Oni Roy here. We talked about that means insight in dreams, getting messages in dreams, okay? But also your Lenormand cards, because like I said, reading this together in one sentence, it says clarity delivered to family, or clarity delivered to health. So I think for most of us, this is a family-related card right here with the holly tree, okay? So there was light cast upon this particular family situation. Things were made clear. It can also mean happiness there with the sun, joy being brought out, especially after a time of sorrow. This might be kind of saying, or a message from your spirit guides, that everything will be just okay, okay? Especially there with the holly tree, because that variation in this particular deck is the winter tree, which can sometimes mean a time of stagnation. And what does the sun do but melt the snow that brings out the spring after the time of winter? Perfect time of year for at least the time of uploading this reading, right? Okay. I do see a happy resolution to this, okay, because of that Lenormand right there. I do see that the sorrow won't last forever. I do see, an element of maybe your spirit guides, maybe you've been having trouble forgiving yourself or forgiving the other person in this situation. And there's something also, too, about the way that this contextualizes what love means to you. Okay, what is love to you with that key to intimacy card? And that's, maybe you realize someone loved you more than you thought they did, or less than you thought they did, right? Maybe you realize there's sometimes different kinds of love that, we didn't realize it was love until we had the foresight to look back and realized, oh, okay, that's what that meant. Okay, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on here for the context of the reading pile number 2s. Too interesting, like I said, with the Oni Roy, that is the card of dreams, insight. I don't know if you've been having dreams lately, or perhaps your spirit guides are telling you that there's a dream message coming regarding this situation. We'll see what your advice cards are when those pop out here in the second section of the reading, but yeah. So just to summarize, like I said, a risk was taken. Unfortunately, there was some sorrow. Celebrations might have been interrupted. Things might not have worked out with that Nine of Pentacles. And now you're like, well, where the heck do I go to, in the future? And then, too, like I was saying when I pulled out the Two of Wands, that particular version is like the rams are butting heads, but they're not focusing on the storm looming on the horizon. It could even be that there's too much of a focus on the little fights rather than the big picture as to how to go forward in the future with that particular card, okay? Things like that. And yeah, like I said, recontextualizing what is love, okay? Learning what love is not. I do want to look at that full message one more time, though, before we go on to the advice. Yeah, learning what love is not. Because that's the thing, is how do you define something without having the opposite to define it, right? It's kind of like darkness and light. How do you define light without defining darkness first, and vice versa? Okay. Sometimes we come upon sorrows or tragedies in our lives because they teach us for the future what to look for, or they teach us for the future. What's the best way to word that? They teach us for the future what we don't want. Okay. Or they teach us what something really is. Like it says, learning what love is not. Okay. All right, well, let's go into your advice section, pile number 2s. Especially, I'm curious if anything will come up with the dreams. That one fascinates me. Yeah, and then just to remember, your Lenormand is joy or clarity delivered to family or health. Okay, something made clear. All right. Make sure I get my ducks in a row. Okay, there's your oracle cards for advice, and then we'll shuffle. Advice on this situation, pile 2s. Okay. Spirit, for my lovely pile number 2s, could you give me 3 Lenormand cards explaining advice in this area? What's your advice on this situation for them? After this time of sorrow and we took a risk and maybe it didn't work out so well. 2, 3. Also, if you could context on the dreams, would be awesome. And then same thing with tarot. Let's get 5 cards of advice here. Spirit, for my lovely 2s, could you give me 5 cards of advice on this situation for them, please? Intuitively, too, pile number 2s I'm getting, as I was shuffling here. If there's a question of you being mad at yourself, you should forgive yourself for whatever happened. Okay, that's what I'm being told. 2, 3, 4, and let's do this one right there, 5. All right, my lovely 2s. Get our ducks in a row, as I always say. All right, Oracle cards, Healing Spirits Oracle. Send out help to others. Okay, that's interesting. We'll see the context with the other cards. Send out help to others. Your Angel Guide Oracle is manifestation, which is bringing things to earth, manifesting things that we've been dreaming or asking for. Putting the thought out there and getting a response back, so to speak. Okay. Interesting. And then your Lenormand is, we have the chickens or the birds, we have the fish, and we have the house. Reading this in a sentence for you. See, communication exchanged about the home. Communication exchanged about home. You know, it's interesting. Home can also mean safety or protection, but where we're comfortable. Interesting. See what that says in a second here. All right, your tarot. We received the 8 of Swords, feeling trapped. I feel trapped. Okay. Hierophant is tradition, things passed down culturally from one generation to the next. Tradition. Then we have the 2 of Wands again. You saw me shuffle it. Planning for the future. Planning for the future. How do we go from here, huh? All right, and then we have Justice reversed. Feeling like there's an injustice of some sort. Okay. Looking for injustice. And the King of Cups upright. External mastery of the emotions. Expressing ourselves with clarity, with carefulness. Dealing with our emotions. How do they come out, right? Okay, so let me take a second to gather everything together here, pile 2s. I'm going to take a sip of my drink, actually. Yeah, time of sorrow. We took a risk. It didn't work out. Okay. So, like I said when I was pulling out the cards, pile number 2 is, if there's any question of whether or not you should forgive yourself, intuitively I'm told please forgive yourself for whatever happened. I don't get the sense that it was your fault. I don't get the sense that, you know, that you fumbled the ball or anything, okay? A lot of times things just happen the way that they happen and it's completely out of our control, okay? Going forward, though, this is interesting. Communication exchanged about the home. Sorry, 1 second. I don't know. I don't know if you're just really, really confused about how to move forward with something. Like maybe you're at the point of trying to pick up the pieces of whatever happened this time of sorrow. Because I get the sense, like, intuitively, like, a lot of confusion, a lot of, like, I don't know what to think, I don't know what to feel, I don't know how to go forward from here. Interesting. It's like your mind is just, it's something that happened that your mind just kind of, I don't know if you got like shock or you just kind of blinked. You're like, I cannot believe that that happened, or I cannot believe that that turned out the way it did, or it didn't work out the way I thought it would. That's intuitively what I'm getting here for you, pile number 2s. Not even just from the cards, but just, empathetic related things. So pile number 2 is at least number 1 advice, like I said, forgive yourself for whatever happened. It wasn't your fault. That was an intuitive message that popped out in relation to your pile leader, okay? Message number 2, send out help to others. As you navigate this situation after the time of the risk and the grief, whatever the event was, okay? Do not be afraid to lend a hand to others. Do not be afraid to ask others for help as well, okay? If you're overwhelmed, if you're feeling a little out of it, if you're feeling confused, do not be afraid to ask other people for help, okay? Especially too, next to your Lenormand is communication exchanged about the home. I don't know if it's something about like a house that fell through or something to do with your family, like we had the tree card earlier that fell through. But don't be afraid to exchange communication with other people, okay, in this time. A lot of insight about how to move forward we can get just from talking to other people, even about things that aren't related to whatever happened, okay? Things like that. And then your tarot cards are fascinating because we have, like I said, feeling trapped, tradition. Yeah, so pile 2s. Oh, this is fascinating. Do not be afraid to break out of tradition, because I know it sounds really weird in context with the reading, but just hear me out. The 8 of Swords is about I feel trapped in something, and next to the Hierophant, it's like I feel trapped in tradition. I feel trapped in the past, in what was. I feel trapped because of something related to what I thought would always be. Okay. How do I go from here with that 2 of Wands after this when I don't have that, either that like tradition to rely on now that it's like old energy being let go of, and not sure how to navigate towards the future with new energy because you didn't even expect that old energy would be gone. You didn't expect that what was always there, that tradition, so to speak, would be gone. So you're like, well, how the heck do I go from here? Okay. So don't be afraid to buck tradition. Don't be afraid to let go of old energy. Okay. Especially where it makes you feel trapped there with the 8 of Swords. Same thing with injustice. There's maybe a focus on, you feel like it was just really unfair. Or, maybe even when you're reaching out to help from others, what might be fueling your reaching out for help is you feel like things are kind of unfairly put on your shoulders. Maybe people aren't really holding up their end of the bargain with you on navigating this situation after the storm, so to speak. And don't be afraid to express yourself here with that King of Cups, okay? Don't be afraid to say, this is how I feel. Don't be afraid to let your emotions out. Don't be afraid to be more emotional in this time in general with other people related to this situation, okay? And with that manifestation card, it's basically saying like everything that you're asking for with this particular situation, as long as you put the thought out there into the universe, perhaps it is for more help about navigating, this after the storm feeling, right? You'll get it. You receive the thing that you're putting out there in the universe as long as you set out the intention. Okay. All right. And there's a specific focus too about communication, about the exchange relating to like home or property here with your Lenormand. Now that's interesting. I don't know. There's been some question about a home, or maybe the loss was of a home, or the loss was related to, what makes you feel at home. So don't be afraid to exchange communication in that way with other people. If you've been like holding back information from other people related to that, you're being encouraged to, the one particular prominent message here is feeling like you don't have to feel trapped. Maybe you always kind of keep mum about things, about your feelings here. Maybe that's why this is a tradition for you with the Hierophant. but they're saying, they're encouraging you to express yourself more, express how you feel more, express what's going on more, okay? Express your sorrow. Express your sadness. Okay? And you might find a lot more support than you expected if you're able to give that vulnerability, okay? Offer that vulnerability to others, all right? There's something that's really bothering you. If you feel like life's just been unfair in this situation with the Justice card reversed here, okay? Also, just to gain advice on, well, how do we move forward, okay? Because you don't have to bear the load alone after whatever the sorrow was, okay, pile number 2s. All right? You don't have to bear it alone. Things like that. Let's see if there's any other messages for you before I sign off with you. Yeah, I'm sorry, this particular reading is a little bit more vague, I feel like. I wish I especially had more conclusive information on this Lenormand reading here. Communication exchange with the home. See if there's any intuitive messages with that. 1 second. There's something about the exchange of money for something related to this. That's the one thing I'm being, like, it's almost like someone exchanging $1 to somebody else. So yeah, it's like money or property in terms of, yeah. So don't be afraid. Anything to do with home or property that you're kind of worried about right now or related to whatever the sorrow was, pile number 2s, don't be afraid to communicate or exchange information on that, okay? Don't be afraid. Yeah, and then send out help to others is interesting. Send out help to others. Yeah, it could be too, if this is something that affected more than one person around you in your home or your family or this group that's related to this, don't be afraid to send out help to them in terms of maybe their emotional processing of whatever this was, okay? If they're involved. There's just more of a question or more of an ask for overall everyone being more open with each other about whatever this was, okay? Because I think a lot of times when sorrows happen, confiding and being vulnerable with others can bring a lot more healing than if we just suffer through things alone, okay? You know, we don't always have to bear the burden alone. We don't always have to plan alone. We don't have to feel trapped in our emotions. We can express them, right? Okay. So pile number 1s, pile number 2s, I will leave you with that. You know, if there has been a sorrow or a loss or maybe a risk taken that didn't work out so well recently in your life, you know, my condolences to you. Just know that I do get the sense that things are going to get better. You did get the Sun card with Lenormand earlier, okay? Especially with relation to the holly tree. It's like the sun melting down the snow or the cold after a time of stagnation. So if you're looking for an upswing or an upturn after this time of sorrow, things will get better. Just be reassured. But that was your advice in the interim here, okay? Don't feel trapped in the way you've always processed grief or sorrow, okay? Feel free to express yourself. Feel free to set intentions to the universe. You know, ask other people for help. Reach out your own hand to other people for help. And most of all, importantly, forgive yourself for whatever happened, okay? It was out of your hands, you know, and everyone involved, I think, forgives you too. Or eventually will, so intuitively that's what I'm being told. So anyways, yeah, pile number 2s, I hope that reading was helpful for you. As always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of a word from your spirit guides. We'll see what they want to talk to you about, what advice they want to impart to you. As you recall, the card used to pick your pile was Illuminate, shedding light upon things, bringing clarity, bringing light, okay? So we'll set your pile leader off to the left over here next to the pine cone as always. This reading will be, like most of my readings, 2 sections. Section number 1 will be the context, what area of your life or what situation your spirit guides want to talk about, and then the second section will be advice on how to navigate this in the future. So we'll split that into 2 different sections now. We'll talk about these cards later in the advice, and we're We're using both Lenormand and Tarot today. So Spirit, for my lovely pile number 3s, could you give me 3 Lenormand cards giving context of what's going on that their spirit guides want to talk to them about? 3 cards, please. Clear and concise. Okay, definitely that one. That one, and I feel that one right there, number 3. Same thing with Tarot. 5 cards, please, for the context. What's going on in pile 3's life that the spirit guides want to speak to them about? Please. Okay, let's see what's going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Okay, pile number 3 is my lovely pile 3s. Look at your oracle cards first. Context. What's going on? So, Lantern Oracle, we have number 4, Strength of Vulnerability. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. Interesting. See what else pops out. Truth, strength, and power lies at the root of perceived weakness. Your Folklore Oracle for today is the Elk, which in this particular deck represents diligence, keeping going. You're almost there. I don't know if you've been feeling kind of weak lately, pile number 3s, you know, either physically or emotionally, mentally. Maybe you feel like the fight is kind of fighting, or not fighting, the fight is kind of leaving you a bit. We'll see what your other cards say for context, though, before I say anything conclusively. Lenormand, if you're not familiar, I just always tell my viewers, because it's not as popular as tarot, is kind of read like each word is, or each card is a word in a sentence. So let's see what the sentence is for you. We have the shedding snake, the sun, and the fortress. Okay, so reading this together is, let's see, renewal of joy, or renewal of clarity, protected, or guarded. Interesting. Renewal of joy or clarity, protected. Yeah, I don't know if there's been a feeling of like stagnancy or just weakness or sadness lately, pile 3s. Maybe you've been down on yourself a lot about it. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm so weak. I wish I could just be stronger. I wish I could just get through this. I wish I could just, you know, I wish I could be more sturdy, but I feel like I'm weak. That kind of feeling. Your tarot is King of Wands. External mastery of fire, which is charisma, willpower, being charismatic, being confident about things. Okay. Just forming a picture here. Number 2, we have another king. We have the King of Cups. External mastery of the emotions. Expressing oneself well. Being in tune with your emotions. Not letting them control your life. Not being ashamed. The Ace of Swords, a new idea, a new thought. Yep, okay. Let's talk about that in a second. 4 of Cups can mean apathy, not paying attention to what is there, only focusing on certain things. Yeah, pile number 3s, I don't think, how to best put that? I think you're too hard on yourself. Yeah, that's how I put that. Okay. And then we have the 10 of Wheels, 10 of Pentacles, happily ever after card in terms of the material world. 10 of Pentacles can also mean legacy. Okay, things inherited. Could literally mean inheritance, but things like that. Okay, pile number 3s, what's going on here? Yes, pretty dead straight clear. Probably the most clear pile today. There is a situation in your life where you're feeling weak, you're feeling vulnerable, you feel like you are not strong enough for something, you feel like the fight is kind of leaving you. Especially in terms of your confidence and your emotions surrounding something, especially with the King of Wands and Cups here at the beginning, right? Like you want to be at that place of confidence, you want to be at that place of emotional mastery or being happy with something, right? But there's just a feeling of, I don't feel like I'm good enough, I don't feel like I'm strong enough, I don't feel like I can do this. Okay, that's the general vibe of the reading for you today in terms of context. Now, the good news is I think pile number threes. Because you got the elk, not only is that the card of diligence, which means you have it and you just keep going, you're almost there. So if you're wondering about if you should keep going with something, I know this isn't the advice section of the reading quite yet, but that's a pretty big neon sign. You've got the fight in you. You have what it takes. Keep going, keep doing it, okay? But there's also a time of renewal upon you with this. You got the shedding snake, which is like rebirth. It's shedding its skin. It's becoming anew, right? Happiness and clarity with the sun, and then protection with the fortress. So like I said, reading that in a sentence is the renewal of happiness or clarity protected. So I would say it's guaranteed that things will turn out just fine. It's guaranteed that you'll have the strength that you need to get through this pile number threes, okay? Especially with that fortress being like, it's a protecting thing. It's protected. Your spirit guides are saying it'll be just fine. You're divinely protected in this. The renewal and the happiness you're looking for, you're just on the cusp of it, I feel like, pile threes, okay? Because this is like the context. This is like current energy, this part of the reading, okay? There's something new coming in the mental realm here with the Ace of Swords. There's a new idea, a new thought, a new way to think about something. I think specifically a new way to think about yourself. I feel like you personally don't feel like you have the strength for something, like I said before. But really what it is you have just the right strength to be the right person for this job. You have just the right strength to get through it and do a good job or do it well, okay? Just the right strength to bear through these burdens. It's just that there's this energy of the Four of Cups. That's the card of apathy. That's the card of, in terms of a reading like this where we're talking about how we view ourselves, right? The Four of Cups can mean, focusing on just one flaw or one perceived weakness and not realizing your strengths in other areas, okay? Because, like I said, it's the card of apathy, of not noticing things, of feeling like, well, I have this one spilled cup, so everything is crap, either about myself or the situation in general, when there are other cups that are still standing upright and filled, okay? You're a lot better at this than you think you are. You're a lot stronger than you think you are, pile number threes. I just think you tend to focus on the negative with yourself. Maybe you just, you indulge in a lot more negative self-talk, which I'm not blaming. Everyone does, okay? Myself included. Everybody beats themselves up at times, okay? That's just what being, in a human flesh body is all about. Or not all about, but you know what I mean? Everyone has that, right? But you're being guaranteed here that there is strength in you. You do have what it takes to get through this, okay? You do have what it takes to be the right person for this job, for this situation, to get through this, okay? Especially here with the Ten of Pentacles at the end, this is about material satisfaction. Maybe there's particularly like a job involved here. You're kind of doubting yourself, right? If so, I wouldn't doubt yourself whatsoever. That's a very positive card to get in terms of the material world, that Ten of Pentacles, okay? You have a lot more, and I don't mean wealth in terms of money, but you have a lot more wealth and value to you than you think in this situation, okay? All right? You have the strength, and that's what this, like your pile leader says, illuminate. What's being illuminated here, what's being brought to light, which is funny because you did get the Sun card too, which in Lenormand means clarity, right? What's being brought to light is your spirit guides are trying to cast more clarity upon yourself in terms of your strengths, because you're not currently realizing all of what's good about yourself. You're only focusing on the negative with yourself, okay? So this reading is a little bit more of a pep talk, okay? This is a pep talk reading, is like I call it. So what's interesting too is you have the Strength and Vulnerability card, number 4. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness, okay? So actually, pile number 3 is whatever it is you feel like you're not good at. I get imposter syndrome vibes off of this, okay? So imposter syndrome, for those of you not familiar with that, is a lot of times people that are actually really good at things feel like they suck, okay? Now, there's a difference between, like, have you ever had a situation in your life, pile number 3, is where you yourself or you met somebody where the person involved thought they were really, really good at something, but they were an absolute beginner at it. And have you ever, and then in contrast to that, have you ever met someone before that said about themselves, oh, well, I'm just crap at this, but they actually were really experienced and knowledgeable and great in that area? The reason why that is because a lot of times when we are new to things, we know less about that area or that space. So we don't, how to phrase that? Because we know less about it, we think we know more about it than we do. That's not you, pile number 3s. You're the person where you think you're the fool. Okay, you think I'm not so good at this. I don't think I can do this. But it's imposter syndrome where you're actually a lot better at it than you think you are. Okay, because a lot of being good at things is knowing our own weaknesses with it. And even in this situation, like it says, true power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. I don't think it's even a weakness, pile number 3s. I think you're just too tough on yourself, okay? I think it's actually a strength, like your card says with the Lantern Oracle, okay? You have a lot more power and a lot more strength than you think you do. Okay. Let's see if there's any other messages here before I go to the advice section of your reading, pile 3s. I don't know if you got upset over something, pile 3s, and you think you were too sensitive, but you weren't. That's the vibe I'm getting here too, intuitively. Like maybe you thought you were not good enough for something because it upset you, or like you got upset or overwhelmed a little bit. But really what that speaks of is it doesn't say I'm too sensitive and I can't handle this. What it says is I care. And oftentimes the best people to do a certain job are the people that actually give a crap. So if that's your question here, pile 3, is if you've been questioning yourself recently, like, oh, I got upset, maybe I cried over something, maybe I, maybe I buckled and bent a little bit, I would see that as a strength rather than a weakness, okay? It means you care, okay? And caring is the first step to being good at something. If you don't care about something, most of the time you're not going to be good at it, right? A lot of times the people that are good at things are good at them because that's what they care about most, okay? So let's go into your advice section here, pile number 3s. I already can kind of tell what the advice was. It was already popping out here in the beginning, but of course I will get more context here, more advice from your spirit guides. Yeah, you're just too hard on yourself, pile number 3s. It's about, like I said, it's a pep talk reading. Your spirit guides want to tell you about you can handle a lot more than you think you can, and you're better at it than you think you are. So let's do some shuffling here. Get the tarot cards all shuffled. Oopsie. I always talk about my baby hands because sometimes the decks are too big for my tiny hands. It's hard to shuffle, but... Alright, so spirits for pile 3s. Can you give them some advice here with the Lenormand cards? 3 cards, please. Advice. How to navigate this pep talk. What's going on here? What do you want to tell them? Let's see, 2 and 3. Alright, same thing with tarot. Advice. What advice would you like to impart to them on this situation? 5 cards, please. Alright. Let's pick out our cards. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and getting a little messy here, 5. I wonder if the Chariot's going to come out. We'll see. Curious. Alright, let's look at your Oracle cards first. First up, from the Healing Spirits Oracle, it is always okay to ask for guidance when the way is unclear. Pile 3s, intuitively, I don't know if you have an issue asking for help or guidance because you feel like you have to do everything alone. If so, don't be afraid to ask for guidance, especially if it's at work and you think, oh, if I ask my boss or my manager about how to do something, they're going to think I'm an idiot. I would not have that fear whatsoever if that's one of your concerns, okay? Same thing with your spirit guides, too. Don't be afraid to connect to your spirit guides either through, well, you are right now with this reading, right? But even more personally, when it's not a generalized reading, it can help a lot. It is always okay to ask for guidance when the way is unclear. Look for the support of friends and family and coworkers if it's a job-related thing. Do not be afraid to ask for advice. Because a lot of times I always say this whenever this comes up in readings, a lot of times asking for advice is actually a compliment to the other person, okay? Don't think of it as, oh, I'm putting a burden on this person asking for their help. Think of it as, oh, they're going to be pretty, because think about when people ask you for advice, right? Usually it makes you feel pretty dang good, right? Because you're like, oh, they trust me. They think I'm smart with this, right? Don't be afraid. Okay. Angel Guide Oracle, intuition and downloads. Okay, this is all about receiving from above. We have the crown chakra here, right? Or third eye, excuse me. Third eye is about seeing things, right? Being intuitive. Getting downloads. I would say your spirit guides are helping in this situation. Pile number 3 is, I think there's a lot more intuitive messages and advice coming to you than you think. They're guiding you in ways that you're not even really recognizing or you can't necessarily see at the time. Okay. So as you go forward with the situation, just be reassured that there are intuitive messages downloading to you that you are maybe not quite aware of at the time. Maybe it only will pop out in retrospect, right? But they are being given to you. Your Lenormand is you received the sun again, okay. The fish and the cross, okay. So reading this in a sentence, this is joy or happiness exchanged for a burden, okay. That's positive. Very positive to get. Clarity or happiness exchanged for a burden. Whatever has been burdening you in this situation, pile number 3 is, just know that will be exchanged for happiness and clarity, okay? Clarity exchanges a burden. Maybe that's related to your spirit, your Healing Spirits Oracle, where it says, don't be afraid to ask for guidance. I think having more information in the situation, asking around more, asking for more advice around the people involved in this, or maybe even people outside of this that could give a third person objective point of view that aren't, in the muck of it, right? Could help a lot on relieving the burdens here. Okay. There's a lot about listening here, both from your spirit guides and above with intuition and downloads, but also your other cards here. Clarity is key to releasing burdens, okay? All right, your tarot cards. We have the 5 of Wands reversed. Okay, typically this is a battle of egos. Sometimes in reversed, it can be interpreted as people putting their egos away, putting pride away, working together rather than fighting, okay? We have the High Priestess. Literally, these cards mean the same dang thing. Intuition, trusting your gut. Okay, we even have very similar bird vibes here. We have the owl here, almost kind of gives me an Athena vibe. And then, I know this is technically an angel deck, but she does have wings over her heart, right? I don't know if you've been seeing a lot of bird-related synchronicity, like, lately. But yes, intuition. Trusting your gut, pile 3s. You have everything you need. You just need to trust it, okay? Card number 3, the Page of Pentacles reversed. Page of Pentacles reversed is maybe a feeling of needing to explore ideas surrounding the physical realm more, especially if this is related to a job. Maybe there's some ideas that have been unturned in terms of how to make money or how to navigate this business situation or physical earth-related situation. More everyday kind of things, right? We have the 4 of Pentacles reversed, giving freely. Okay. Not being stingy with things, all right? Giving freely. And then we have the 10 of Cups, lovely. This is the emotional happily ever after card. Pile 3s, whatever it is you're worried about with this situation, I would not worry whatsoever. I would say that a good outcome is pretty much in the bag. So if you're worried about this going well, I would not even sweat a single drop of sweat. Okay, I would not even a bead, because you are getting a lot of, and in my readings, I don't sugarcoat. So, if I see something negative, I'll say it. If I see something positive, though, on the other hand, I will say it. So you can trust when I say you're getting really good vibes off of this reading, okay? So if you're worried about anything in this situation not working out, pile threes, I would not, like I said, I would not even drop a bead of sweat, okay? You have this in the bag. You just need to believe in yourself more, okay? You need to believe in your strengths. You need to understand that your weaknesses can actually be strengths. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not always be strong, okay? It's okay to feel like you don't know what you're doing, okay? Because a lot of times we find what we're looking for by getting a little bit lost or feeling a little bit lost, okay? Okay, so in terms of your advice, though, concretely, after now that your cards have been pulled out, yes, like I said, when we were pulling out these cards, we already covered that. Do not be afraid to exchange clarity, or ask for clarity, I guess is a better way of saying that, to relieve burdens. Do not be afraid to ask for help or advice from other people involved, or even people that are not involved that can give an objective perspective, okay? I think you probably get a little bit too mired in your own head, and that's why you're so hard on yourself. Whereas if you asked other people their opinions on the situation, they would probably tell you the same thing I'm telling you right now. Like, pile threes, I think you're a little bit too hard on yourself. I think you can handle this. I think you've got it in the bag, okay? In terms of advice with your tarot cards, though, number one, trust your intuition. You got not only intuition and downloads here, you got the High Priestess, which is literally the same dang message pretty much, is trusting your intuition, trusting your gut. Going forward, pile number three is trust yourself to know that you have the compass you need to navigate this situation just fine, even if you feel like you're being given no direction, okay? Whatever step you take is the right step. So do not doubt yourself, okay? That's number one. In terms of your other cards, though, like I said, Ten of Cups, happily ever after, you got it in the bag. Don't worry about that. But on the way there to happily ever after, though, when there's still that dis-ease or unease, feeling like, I'm not so certain this is going to go well. I'm not so certain I can handle this, right? Focus on diminishing battles of ego with that Five of Wands reversed here. If this is like a work situation and people are kind of butting heads, focus on harmony, focus on, especially if there's particular people involved that, they kind of try to push their wills upon each other, or their ego upon things, or their opinions trying to override everybody else. Do everything in your power to kind of, tamper down the heat a little bit in that situation, okay, with that Five of Wands reversed. As much as you can, maybe play mediator a bit. And then in terms of the Page of Pentacles reversed and the Four of Pentacles reversed here in the middle, don't be afraid to explore things you haven't explored before with this situation. Even if it seems like an outlandish idea, explore it, okay? Same thing that applies to the way you view yourself. We were talking about some kind of, this is a pep talk reading, right? Do not be afraid to explore new ideas about yourself, pile number threes, okay? Especially in terms of the way that, you yourself relate to money or your job or business here, because there's a lot of pentacles, right? I'm getting a job vibe out of this, but not all of you might necessarily have this be like a job related thing, but don't be afraid to be more giving to yourself, okay, with that Four of Pentacles reversed. That's the card of being more generous, okay? Be more generous with yourself. Believe in yourself. Let's see, any other messages? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, pile number three. Kind of like I said in the beginning of the reading. I'm pretty sure I already knew what the advice was going to be, which is going to be believe in yourself, pile threes, but your spirit guides are very much so emphasizing this. So just to summarize your reading, believe in yourself. A lot of the things you think are weaknesses about yourself are actually strengths, okay? If you did feel like you were getting overwhelmed or upset about something, recontextualize the way you view yourself, okay, with that. Don't view it as, I am weak and I cried about something, I'm such a big baby, wah. Recontextualize it as, I cared enough to be emotional about it, okay? There you go. Like that, just readjusting the way you view yourself, because I think you're too hard on yourself, pile threes, okay? I know I've said that a million times in this reading, but yes, and just know that there's I see really good outcomes for this. So if you're worried about things going to crap, if you're worried about not working out well, if you're worried about you yourself fumbling the ball, I would not worry whatsoever. You got the Ten of Pentacles before, and you got the Ten of Cups here too, in terms of advice. So yeah, just believe in yourself, pile number 3s, okay? You have it. It's fine. Your spirit guides are, sitting there like cheerleaders with little flags in their hands. Like, go you. You got it just fine. Just keep going, all right? You had the elk earlier, which the elk, like I said, is the card of diligence. It's the card of just keep going. You've got this. All right, that's what your spirit guides are saying to you. So, as always, pile number 3s, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Believe in yourself. Believe you can do it. You got this in the bag. It'll be just fine. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3s.